this week's yet, this
Okay.
latest one, but last week's was just really good.
When is
Yeah.
this show set?
Like in the timeline of the everything.
It's like
it
the
is-
continuation of Rebels, right?
So it's like post Return of
So
the Jedi.
all that stuff is like Clone War. All this stuff when she's young and getting trained is Clone Wars era.
Right, and this is
Is
post
like
Clone Wars.
post Clone Wars, pre original trilogy.
Post original trilogy, isn't it? Yeah, post original trilogy.
No, is it?
No,
Yes,
pre.
100% post.
She's
because-
alive in the timeline during the original trilogy. What? What's she doing? Just hanging out?
That's what we all want to know.
Oh my god!
But like, think about
fucking
it. Are you
Star
watching
Wars.
this season? Because there are things in the season that are proof that it's post. I
The
don't
thing I
want to
will
spoil things
never-
for you.
Let me.
A character. Okay, you're caught up, Casey. You know there's a character from the original trilogy that shows up in
Luke
World
shows up,
Between
right?
Worlds.
Yeah, let me check if I've seen that.
Well,
Just to make sure.
it was like 2 episodes ago.
Okay.
I will never.
I mean, think
I
about
would-
who her master is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But there could still be drift in there before the prequel starts, right? They just get closer.
No, because if you think about Mandalorian,
Oh.
Luke is already a Jedi. He's already a master.
Okay. Yep. You convinced me.
My nerd powers cannot be defeated.
Well played.
The one thing I just will never get over, and this is just me being me, Rachel. Just so you
Okay,
know.
here we go.
I'll never ever be able to get over the disconnect now when you watch the original trilogy and everyone acts like no one's ever seen a Jedi, no one's ever heard of the Jedi. They're an ancient religion. These fuckers were around 20 years ago. In modern time, we're talking early 2000s, the Jedi were around, and not a single person on Earth acts like they're real, or they're like, some people are like, that's not even real. Like, it's like a myth. Like,
Yeah.
it shit
I
drives me
mean-
crazy. And you look at the prequels, and it's like this insane utopia, future cities everywhere, and like whatever. I'm just old.
Well, I mean, also if you look at Obi-Wan, like how did he go from Ewan McGregor to the Obi-Wan of the? You know, there's some stuff in
Because-
there that you got to hand wave.
And
but I
part
do
of it is
think-
that I'm secretly like tickled by the idea of trying to thread this needle. Like I'm intrigued by the idea of trying to like tie together disparate films made decades of whatever, like, and adding things in and like weaving it. Like, I love how that expands mythos, but I want it so badly to just all perfectly gel, and it just doesn't. Like, and it's for someone who claims he like envisioned all of this. I know now we're like off the, but
we're in the Filoni town.
where,
now,
but even
yeah.
the prequels break it all, like in a way that makes it for me difficult
Yeah.
to like fully, because my brain wants it to gel together.
There are a handful of those little things that also bother me. Like, why do people know things that they, like there are things. And I think Filoni has done with Clone Wars a lot of work to clean that stuff up. But you're right.
That
like,
you mean the cartoon?
yeah.
Yeah, I watched a good deal of it.
Here's the thing is it's a tough ask because there's a lot of it. And the first season is like objectively not good.
Yeah.
So
it took me a couple times to get into that show.
Me too.
And
What
Once
drove
it
me
gets
nuts was
good,
trying to
it's
watch
like-
it by the like the official.
Oh, did you not
timeline.
watch the chronological version? Because
I-
someone's done the chronological
No, I
chronological
did.
version. You did?
I did, but
Okay.
I was just flipping through in the stream
Oh,
the
yeah.
streaming service trying to get the episodes, and it was just that was a lot of work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
had
did.
to
We,
like,
we talked about it last week, Rachel. I don't think you were here, but like my favorite thing about it is more General Grievous, because he's my favorite character from. The
Oh,
prequels.
really?
Like, he's just cool. His voice is awesome.
Yeah.
And the idea of a sick robot, I fucking love. Like, that's fucking brilliant. Like, it's just, he's always sick. I don't know. He coughs and sneezes and shit. Like,
Is your
I
dog
just
named
fucking-
Grievous? I think you should rename your dog Grievous. He's
And
good
there's
for
something
Grievous
so
energy.
hilariously simple and awesome about what if he had 4 lightsabers?
Right?
I just love it. He's such a great like he's such more of a like
Yeah.
character villain than a Darth Maul who does look cool as shit,
Yeah.
and he gets fleshed out too. I like that about Clone Wars, that they could actually flesh out that stuff that doesn't feel like much in the prequels.
Yeah.
In your vein of thinking, though, I took it a step farther, and I'm sure you did too. But not only see what he looks like with 4 lightsabers, but he's a robot. What if he can spin his hands real fast? I love that.
But also, he's got
So,
emphysema. He's
technically,
got robot
he's
emphysema
actually
too.
just a cyborg.
Wait, what does that mean? He's part human?
Yeah,
He's part alien, so he was like
he's part living.
grievously wounded and is a cyborg. So that's why.
That's why he was
tough.
sick.
Obi-Wan did that to him. He like fucked his chest up.
Rachel,
Yes.
Ah!
I just got chills. That is
You
so
did get
cool.
that, huh?
Forget it. I'm back in. Star Wars. Wait, where do you learn? What thing do you learn that in? Because now I want to watch that.
Well,
Because
you
in the
go to
Clone
his-
Wars, he's
you-
already there.
Well, in Clone Wars, you get to go to his house. You get to
Yeah.
see a statue of
Flashbacks
him.
and shit.
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
to see
he's a
what
pretty
he looks
big
like
part of Clone
underneath
Wars.
the mask.
That's,
Yeah,
I like him even more now.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
yeah, his house is pretty cool. It's like basically a giant saw trap. Yeah,
It's worth watching, but like at least skip the first season, maybe even the second season, and
there
dive
is
in on
one
2 or 3.
Grievous season where he gets defeated by a bunch of Gungans. So beware.
But actually, I think,
credulity.
but that's another the Jar Jar stuff. I think is redeemed in a lot of ways by Clone Wars.
yeah, and the latest season of Mandalorian, little redemption for Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Oh,
In a
is he in that?
roundabout
That's
way.
cool. Yeah, I like that too. Like I like
Sort of.
people. I like better people that are better than George Lucas, taking his half-baked ideas and fleshing them out. Like that's what's cool about Clone Wars.
And
He said
Rebels
not
is
directly
even
Weckly in it.
better. Who? Jar Jar? He's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. Well, I mean,
He said not
Ahmed,
directly
yes.
Weckly in it.
Oh no, no,
Please
no! Oh god. But yeah, no, Ahsoka was great. You gotta once you finish it, let me know what you think.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's my favorite character, so I was like, I'm in the bag for this season. So
Yeah.
I
She is-
understand I
I-
can't be objective, but also Thrawn is fucking great, and I love Thrawn.
Thrawn is really cool.
I'm hoping that he's gonna flip the script a little bit in the next season. I don't think he's gonna ultimately be the villain people think he's gonna be.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be something different.
I should
But-
just start streaming Clone Wars while I'm working or something. Like,
Right? You
Yeah.
should.
That's the way
You
to watch
should.
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait till you get to the like. Oof.
Yeah, you were just saying you only work an hour a day.
You could
No, we're
squeeze in,
streaming
like,
live. We're streaming live
Oh.
now, Casey. I was not just saying.
You said you only work 12 hours a day.
I thought you were gonna say it again, and I was like, no, you're not picking me up here.
Well, if you do, let me know. I will happily live vicariously through your Clone Wars experience.
I
And
need to
Rebels.
do this. I haven't watched Rebels. I need to do
Have-
that. with
Oh,
Rebels.
Have
you
either of
gotta
you
watch
guys? Total hard topic switch here. Have either of you guys watched the Midnight Gospel on Netflix?
I
That's
watched
the one by the
one.
Adventure Time guy, right? Pendleton Ward.
Yeah, it's like it says it's like a surrealist cartoon, but it's all about like life and the universe and.
I've not
Every
watched
time
it,
I
but
see a
I've heard
clip
good
of this thing
things.
on Instagram, it like blows my mind, and then I'm like, I think this, and then I go, wait, I think this is a show, and then I'm like, I should watch it, and then I don't.
I think I watched like the first episode, but I hadn't been back yet. But it's not quite my thing. I think I wasn't real big into Adventure Time either. But I'm also I didn't have an into Adventure Time because Delaney had out like
I
aged
never
out of and
watched
stuff,
it.
too.
Never watched Adventure Time.
Did you ever watch Infinity Train? That's another really cool, but also a little bit dark animated show to show your kids.
Delaney was just talking about it watching Adventure Time though, because she'd only watched 1 or 2 of them too.
See, I have to have constant input to keep the darkness out, so I watch a lot of shit. I always have something going, and a lot of it is animated.
You know, Rachel, I've just been letting the darkness in lately. It's real crazy.
Is there light on the other side, or does it just keep getting darker? Because that's what I feel like would happen is if I let the darkness in, I
No.
would spiral to the darkest,
Eh,
black as black times infinity.
I mean, you want to get really real because
Yeah.
I've had some life experiences over the last couple of years.
Oh,
You got to let it in,
I'm scared.
and it may temporarily destroy you, but then the other side of that is much better if you do the work, right? Like to work
Right.
through what the things are. That's the rub.
I know. I just try
You
so
need a
hard
good
not to.
therapist, good support system.
Yeah.
At least that was my experience, I guess.
No, I mean that feels hopeful because I do feel like I'm always on like a treadmill a little bit of like always staying ahead of my feelings. Like and things like I can't listen to really music anymore because it makes me feel things. Yeah, like it's catching
So-
up. It's catching up.
Not to get like really heavy here in the pre-show.
Let's
I
do
had
it.
sort of the opposite problem where like I pushed my feelings down. Maybe this is just maybe because I'm a man, I was just better at this. No, but wait, let me finish my sentence.
Snip, snip.
I was able to push my feelings down so hard that I never felt anything except baseline anxiety all the time, always.
Okay.
And
this
discomfort. And
sounds
so then I pumped the
familiar.
noise in because that at least helped with that baseline of constant baseline, right?
Mhm.
Then my life imploded and I had what I would probably now in hindsight call like a nervous breakdown.
Fuck.
And got really lucky and found like the most incredible therapist at the exact right moment that I needed it. Because I've had others since then and like they're not all great.
Yeah.
And he helped me sort of like rebuild from what was, I always say like it was like showing up with all your guts in your hand already. So I had like I was like ahead of the game because I had gone to therapy previously when I really needed it, and would sit there and talk about experiences and emotions fully emotionlessly, like even inside like not feeling anything. It was like
Right.
I was intellectualizing it, right?
Totally.
When I went the second time, I was like,
All
this is a
feelings.
mess. Like, what do I do with this? Like,
That's actually really incredible. And like, because I think the hardest thing is probably being able to get to a place where you can identify the feelings that you're having. Like, if you don't have any experience,
I had to be taught how
naming
to.
the
I had to be
feelings-
taught how to do it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and like, and in that in between, so I went through. I saw that guy for about a year and a half before I moved here, and so he's not licensed here, so I couldn't see him anymore.
Yeah.
I did like extensive trauma therapy was part of it, but a lot of it along the way was like learning to identify feelings, and it was like he had to walk me through the process like I was 5, like that, like because I would say shit and he'd be like, no, that's like you're talking about what somebody else thinks or feels, and I just be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And he'd just be like, yeah, like he would just, that's all he ever really did was like reflect back and prompt me to answer again. And like, it's something about that was really effective for me.
Right.
Yeah,
'cause, I mean,
yeah,
you
that's
can
what
feel
they're
something
good at.
without knowing what you're feeling. And like, how do you even begin to process or like deal with it if you can't even name it? That's
Yeah, I do agree. That's the first step. Yeah. And because it's scary when the thing you need to name is negative, it's scary.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned in the process was because I dealt with a lot of disassociation too. So what started happening was like when I was really fearing something heavy that I didn't want to look at or name, I would just fully disassociate like from my body, like physically.
Wow.
But then he would always kind of talk me down or talk me through it. I would get through it. It would eventually dissipate. And what I learned was that that was just the fear of the thing. That wasn't the thing itself.
Right.
That was the fear of the thing. And once I started attacking that, like really going at the thing before I let the fear get so bad, it would dissolve the fear part of it.
Right.
Now, sometimes
That's
there's a
kind
lot
of
of pain on the
amazing.
other side of that, but pain I can handle, right? Like fear is much harder than pain, I feel like.
Interesting. I think I fear the pain a lot.
Well, that exactly. No, of course. But like, I would encourage you that
Yeah. You and Matilda
part of that
both
is
are
fear
like,
of the
have you
fear.
considered therapy? Have you considered the journey of therapy?
Do you
And
go?
I'm like,
Do you have
no.
therapists?
Never occurred to me as I'm walking through the woods spilling all of my guts for free to poor Matilda.
Well, isn't she a therapist?
Yes.
There you go.
Hey,
you go.
Joe.
Howdy. How's everybody doing?
Joe, how
you
are
get
you
a
feeling
haircut?
today?
Okay.
Yeah, you look good, Joe.
Yeah, did you get a
Thank
haircut?
you.
It looks good. I like
Yes.
I'm due.
Haircut, trim the beard in a bit.
All right. Well, we've just been having very light
Yeah.
conversation here. Pre-show. Let me.
Tell us about
um,
your trauma, Joe.
Well, my shower just started leaking into my kitchen, so I'm going to say that's my trauma for the night.
Oh,
That's why I'm
Jesus.
a few minutes late.
That'll work.
No worries, dude. Let me take my last bio break here, and then we'll get started. I don't know who's synopsizing or word of the day, so you guys fight amongst yourselves. And
Oh shit.
Go for
I assumed you didn't say anything. I was like, oh, Joe's got it. Well, shit.
Uh-oh. right.
Is there a fancy word for flying killer uterus? Because that was the headline of the movie for me.
I just saw it as some sort of mechanized goatsy.
Okay, so this is like a very strange Rorschach that we're discovering
something
in this movie. What orifice did you see, Casey?
Yeah. He's not answering, so I'm really concerned.
No, I was looking up something on the episode guide, and Bummer Schnars has already done simulacrum. Isn't that what those were called?
Yeah, that's a yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if they're the same. I don't remember.
How about... No, that didn't work.
all right, what do we decide?
Nothing.
Anyone?
I think we're all frantically looking up words right now.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
Googling.
I know we've done Chimera.
What? I have maybe one. Do you want me to put it in chat, or so if someone can see if it's been used?
We do. Casey, can you check the spreadsheet?
Yeah, I got it up.
Thank you, sir.
Second. Yeah.
It's kind of incredible that we actually have that.
We have done that one, Rachel.
Damn it! That would have been a good one.
Good try, though.
Thank you. Now I'm like, that word, Google synonym. Let's see.
I'm in a glossary of artificial intelligence words.
Ooh, I like it. Smart.
It hasn't been helpful, so I wouldn't say smart yet.
The thesaurus says the synonym for artificial human is so-called humans.
Ooh.
I really don't
Yeah.
know.
Any word is fine, guys.
Well, we had two good ideas, but we've already used them.
I gotta blow my nose. Sorry.
Does that count as a bonus bio break?
I think it does.
Ooh, all right,
You got one?
maybe.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
let me check.
Look at the big brain on Joe.
Yeah, you win. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
All right.
Wait, that means I actually have to say it. Fuck.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Hoisted on your own petard, my friend.
All right, now how do I actually say this fucking word? I can read real good. I can't speak good.
All right, so Joe, you're gonna take the word.
Taking the word.
Rachel, you want the synopsis?
Ooh, shit.
Shit, I'll take the word over there.
Rachel, the bar is so low. I have faith in you. You are.
I told you
Much
I
better than
start at
Schnars.
6 a.m., right? Like my brain is no longer working at this hour. Let's see here. Do. Okay.
Branding. Take this stupid loop off. Okay. I'm ready when you yokels are ready.
Fair warning, if you see me making faces, I'm not reacting to your comments. I've got back spasms.
Oh,
Ouch.
buddy.
Sorry.
I guess this thing has a vibrating back.
I know, I need to get my chair. I haven't bought one yet.
Those are
It's so
different
good.
facial expressions.
All right. Stand by. Let's do it. For this movie, I forgot who directed it.
Gareth Edwards. Edwards.
Stop. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a science fiction filled episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing The Creator. Joining me first up tonight from the Bay Area, please welcome Rachel to the show.
What up? Bay Area represent.
Next up tonight from Philadelphia, please welcome Joe to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Go Phillies.
And last up tonight from Bucolic, Indiana, please welcome Casey to the show.
Hello.
Last week, John accused me of only saying Bucolic when Ariel was on the show, and I got to say Pacific Northwest. So
Yeah.
there you go, Casey.
Somewhere she just like flipped over her laptop. She was like, that was our thing.
Schnars is out. Joe's back. Rachel's back. I've been trying to get Joe's ass on the show for like 2 months, and he keeps being like, I have Girl Scouts or whatever.
Boys Cub
Killing me,
Scouts,
bro.
which I just came from. I'm exhausted.
So we finally got him on, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, maybe we'll talk about some Star Wars on the other side of it, since this is directed by one of Mr. Gareth Edwards.
Mm-hmm. And there are some parallels in this one, which I'm sure we'll get into.
It felt weirdly like the kind of movie that Neil Blomkamp might be directing in a universe where he was still good.
Yeah,
That's how I
big
feel. Yeah.
museum vibes in this one.
Yeah.
It made me think about Neil Blomkamp, but in a sad way.
Yeah.
Like it made me. We'll get to it. It made me think of District 9 as well.
Yeah, I
We'll
can
get
see
to it.
that.
All right, let's do it. Let's take a quick break and discuss The Creator.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
Mr. Joe,
Yes.
it's been a good like 35 years since I was in Cub Scouts. Tell me what a meeting is like these days. What kind of stuff you doing
Ooh.
there?
So
Tying some bowling knots or something. Remember
We
that?
did not tying tonight. We were going over toolbox and what's in a toolbox and what you use said tools for as I get them ready to make a hiking stick that has a compass imbued inside of it, a whistle, a nice handle and stuff like that. And then they'll etch designs all over it. And then I'll do wood burning engraving all along it.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
Okay, Joe,
When
you're a
the-
better dad. You're a better dad than I am. Where do you get the energy, Joe? Like, what in the
I have no idea. That's 4 hours of sleep and lots of coffee.
drugs?
Yeah, but what he failed to mention is
wish,
next week
but
the meeting's at his house, and he's going to teach him how to use that toolbox to fix the leak in the shower.
You work in like a science lab, right, Joe? There's drugs there, I'm sure.
Yeah. In fact, I'm dealing with a visit from the DEA tomorrow for a on-site inspection because we have some controlled substances that I use for testing, and I got to make sure that I am keeping
Hell yeah,
everything
bro.
secure
You ever watch
and
that-
not throwing that shit up
Joe's.
You ever watch that Netflix doc about the crime lab scientist that was just ripping meth all day and like whatever she could get her hands on from the stuff she was testing?
No, I
That's
have
pretty
not.
good. She was in Massachusetts. She was in Boston. I remember when I was there.
That sounds about right then.
They had to throw out like every case she worked on basically after it came out.
Yeah, no, that'll do it. We joked before everything like weed started becoming semi-legal in the medicinal area in PA that when it got to that route, maybe we could open up like if people needed to test the percentage of the THC in pot and stuff like that. Like, okay, we can do the testing in our lab, and oh, you don't have to send us like 3 grams. We only needed half a gram, so we'll just get to keep the rest. And
Oh,
yes,
you didn't need to send us.
dreams.
You didn't need to send us a QP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, Joe, since you are a scientist, I can only assume you know words.
Ooh, you would assume wrong, but that's what most
Which makes
people
you-
know about science.
Which makes you a great
That
fill-in
was
for
a
Schnars.
false hypothesis.
Rachel, I've adopted your thing with John about how he plays no or instead of yes and.
Good. it's
I
true.
accused him of it last week as well. So just so you know, that's been entered into the BGH lexicon.
Yes. Move aside, bum fighting, enter, and or.
All right, Joe, please bring us the word of the day.
Okay, today's word is, and I hope I say this correctly, heuristic. According to Wikipedia, it is in mathematical optimization and in computer science. Heuristic is a technique designed for problem solving more quickly when classic methods are too slow to find an exact or an approximate solution, or when classic methods fail to find an exact solution for a searched problem, i.e., if you were hunted down by one species and had to figure out how to stop it from happening outside of the bounds of the normal wartime rules.
That was so good. I started to feel like I was in school, and then I disassociated for a brief moment there.
Totally left my body.
Like, I wanted to be like, is this going to be on the test? Well, thank you for that, Joe. Rachel, with your pink hair, how's it going there? When was the last touch up you had? It's
it's
got to
been
be
a few-
done frequently, right?
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm still a few weeks out.
It's
We're
still
like
pretty good then for a
mid-life
few weeks.
cycle right now. The
Yeah.
key is to be a disgusting animal and not wash it.
You can't wash it,
Pro
right.
tip, everybody.
Like, and if you do, it's got to be with cold water, right?
That is correct. With a color protective hair. This podcast just took a turn. Sorry, everybody.
Rachel, tell me about the creator.
Sure. Okay, so this is the new sci-fi epic from Gareth Edwards, who I think most people know from Rogue One or from a movie I loved called Monsters. And it is set in
Oh, Monsters, the border allegory thing, right?
Correct.
I always forget he did that. I love that
Yeah,
movie.
look at that. He loves an allegory, which I'm sure we're going to get into today.
doesn't?
This is the big Vietnam War allegory movie. So it's set about 50 years in the future, in a time where we have really advanced AI and it has kind of become a part of everyday life. They're raising our kids, they have our faces, they are driving everything, and apparently they're in charge of nuclear weapons. So, due to undisclosed reasons, one day they dropped a nuclear bomb on Los Angeles, which led the U.S. to declare war on all AI. Which is a problem because other parts of the world have really embraced AI and see them as equal or even in some cases more evolved humans. And so we are at war with the US is not we. I'm not team US in this movie. The US is at war with New Asia, where there is a mysterious figure called Nirmata, who is the architect of AI and who has potentially created some new super weapon. We follow a man named Joshua, and he is someone who has sort of been embedded trying to find the location of this mysterious Nirmata, and in the process kind of gets in too deep and finds a wife and has a family on the way, but all of that is disrupted when there's a surprise attack by the US and they're separated, and he's revealed to be who he is, and she appears to have died, and the child with it. So then we flash forward a little bit further, and now he is cleaning up the nuclear war zone, like really down on his luck, unhappy, heartbroken, in deep, deep grief. And he is approached by a general, and Allison Janney has this amazing, I think she's like a colonel, who tells them not only is his wife alive, but they need him to go back because he has specific information that is going to lead to the discovery of Nirmata and this super weapon. He agrees because he wants to see his wife again. And in the process, without getting too deep into spoilers, he ends up hooking up with this child, who, I mean, it's in the trailers, right? Like this child who is like one of the AI. And they kind of go on a little bit of a lone wolf and cub journey together. And I don't want to go much further because I feel like we are getting deeper into this.
Yeah, well, we'll
territory.
give our base thoughts, and then after that, but even with the base thoughts, I'd say spoiler territory, and then we can just we'll open it up and dig into it.
Yes.
Casey, what did you think?
I am a very big hard sci-fi fan. Isaac Asimov, that kind of era, Heinlein, stuff like that, and I ended up enjoying this a lot. I thought it was well put together, and I loved the little the chunk of world building that Gareth Edwards did here for this movie. It's really intriguing, and it's a really nice futuristic sci-fi world that you can sink your teeth into. There's a lot of layers to it. I was really impressed with that aspect of it. Story-wise, I was really impressed on how well it parallels a lot of things going on in our world right now, and putting it on that framework of being against the AI and stuff like that was an interesting twist, and it helps, I think, make some problems more apparent, with those problems that are going on, because it takes kind of the human aspect out of it. It's just an interesting storytelling technique in the way that they did this. I think it all really comes together well. I thought the cast was good. The lead actor, John David Washington, I'm not too familiar with. I've seen Black Klansman. I haven't seen all of his other movies. Yeah, I haven't seen Tenet yet either. But
I haven't
I was really impressed with him, but I think between him and some of the design of this movie and the way they looked at the way this futuristic world and stuff, and kind of the performance he gives, it kind of gives us like a fresh version of hard science fiction too. It felt more modernized and not as hard to penetrate from outside. Hard sci-fi can be really hard to get into,
Well, they do that.
This really helps make it approachable.
They do that by giving it like very Hollywood, like heart story, like, you know what I mean? Like they injected some like Hollywood, heartstring stuff in there.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Sort of like help make the hard science fiction more accessible.
But there's a couple lines that came out of him and key moments of this movie that, even it just kind of hits you. It's like, oh dear, I'm sorry, bud.
Yeah.
The stuff coming around heaven is just like, oh man.
Joe, what'd you
But-
think? Sorry, Casey. what's up?
No, you're fine.
So I'm a little conflicted. I thought it was good, but what I'm realizing I have a standard for the sci-fi genre that this movie didn't really scratch. It was really evident that what you're watching is a reskinned, mechanized Vietnam War movie, which those older like action movies are kind of my jam.
You guys are making me
but-
feel real dumb because never at any point did I think about Vietnam during this
Oh,
movie.
really?
I would just like to like put in for everyone else out there that just watches a movie and goes, "Cool."
And it was the Vietnam aspect that I actually had a bigger issue with, to where you get a lot. Most of the Asian faces then end up just kind of becoming literal cannon fodder, as time and time again you're watching site up and site and group upon group just kind of be demolished, which it made me feel terrible, which is really effective because that's what Edwards wants. The biggest issue with this movie is I didn't feel like it actually broached any great deep pondering meanings of what it means to be human by looking across the veil at the artificial intelligence. It looked like fucking stunning.
It's a really good looking movie. Yeah.
It's insane. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Simon Stalanog, the Swedish artist. It was like it
Does
felt
that
like
make me
watching
sound
his
smart again?
paintings. Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
It's like watching his paintings come to life with the the integration of the technology into the natural world, especially with like some of
So
the
he paints
more
like what you might call bucolic landscapes of his homeland, often like snow covered, and then there'll just be like a robot strolling in the background or something.
Cool.
So it's like near futury, but it's also there's this like nature organic feeling to it.
Very cool.
yeah, it's
Sorry to interrupt you,
fantastic. No, you're good.
I wanted to sound
They
smart.
made a great series on Amazon, Tales from the Loop, based on all of his paintings.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now. I didn't
I
know
didn't
the
know
name,
that's
but I
what
know
that was on.
exactly
Show
what
us.
you mean. That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but when we finally get to what felt like a very rushed third act, and I get that because there's a ton of fucking story that he has to get through this, it felt kind of like a letdown where the redemption arc felt a little shoehorned in when I wanted it to feel a little more earned and with a lot more lingering questions on.
I'm gonna get into it too. There's some issues. I would actually weirdly call that the fourth act. Like, this is a thing that, and I don't say that action movies can get away with this, right? Because when you go to see an action movie, you want to be like, it's why I can watch a 2-3 hour action movie if I'm really into it. Because by the end of it, you want to feel spent. You want it to be like, yes, like you don't want to be left wanting anymore. And so movies like this to me can get away with a 4-act structure. Star Wars does this shit where like really that whole scene with the like giant thresher vehicle things coming through, that feels like a third act. And then there's another act, right? So that's where that's where I come up with like fourth act. Are you done, Joe? I apologize. I jumped in here, but
No, that's all good. I think I said pretty much a synopsis of how I feel about it. It's beautiful, but vapid when it comes to what I want out of sci-fi.
yeah, it's interesting the way that it's kind of threading that needle. I really, really enjoyed it. And I also think it's not without its flaws. I would call this like the perfect cable movie, or it's a movie that makes me wish I still had cable, in the sense that like anytime this movie would come on, I would watch it if I had cable. It's just a really well drawn world, both like thematically and visually. I think I said this. Did I say this in the show? Blomkamp. I think I did. I wasn't sure if that was pre-show. It made me think of District 9 in the sense of like, okay, those are aliens and this is AI, but it's the same sort of like stranger in a strange land, like, and then watching how they integrate with human society. I mean, that's the whole thing at the crux of District 9, right? Is like these aliens, like with that stripped away from their technology, basically becoming like, well, in that case, they're just like living in a slum, right? Like, but District 9 is headier in a way and is dealing with those deeper issues in a way that I think you guys are talking about. This movie, like I said, is like, it is, I don't say this is a bad thing, but I'm going to say it. It's schmaltzy in a Hollywood way. It's got this real like heartstring agenda that it's trying to have a thread through this movie, and it goes there. But it worked for me, partly because that guy's performance, he's great. I love the pairing of him and the mother. I love the little kid, which I rarely say. Like, the kid is actually really good.
She's great.
And like, it's a really visually stunning movie. I love the look of the robots. It's a really neatly fleshed out, like near future, mid future society. Some of the coolest visuals in the movie are like the giant space station, like the lasers, the tracking lasers across the landscape as they're like honing in the tracking for the missiles. Or I mean, like, to intentionally make it so huge makes it feel so overwhelming and epic and like surreal almost. And then it's just happening in the background of a battle. It's this added tension. I love all the casting. Allison Janney as this like,
Yes.
Allison Janney basically as like the old mean guy from Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's
Like-
putting Stephen Lang. It's
Yes.
Steven- yeah,
I
like-
thought the same thing.
Dude, she's great. She is great and believable in the role that they put her in. It's so cool.
Mhm.
You know, there's some threads that like you pull at, and it's like, all right, like, she goes to him. They need this guy because he was undercover with the like Chinese people / the androids. Is it Chinese? Is it China? Is there just they just say Asia, right? Like,
Well, when we get to my criticisms,
that's a problem. Yeah. Did I not go to you, Rachel?
No, that's
Not
okay.
yet.
I figured.
Oh my god!
circle
I'm so,
back.
I schnarzed
I
you.
sweat it. Yeah, it's
I
fine.
schnarzed you. I guess you should feel privileged.
I'm in, you
But-
guys.
He does say to her, like, I don't give a shit about humanity anymore. And she still sends him in on a very critical mission that he could like has much potential to ruin, and then does. And the third act is a problem, or the fourth act is a problem. I mean, that's henceforth to be referred to as the fourth act. It feels to me like this was probably a 3-hour movie at some point, that they're like, you can't make this movie 3 hours. And most of what they chopped was in that fourth act.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a spatial problem. Once they go up into that spaceship, there is a major problem of it's moving too fast. They're covering too much ground too quickly. So it starts diffusing the tension, but you also I had trouble like spatially figuring out where the fuck I was on that ship. And that kid is getting from like end to end of that goddamn thing with like 5-second cuts in between. And it gets really, it starts to hurt the tension, because the third act with I'm just calling them the Threshers, and those like crazy suicide bombing robots, like that scene, it
Terrifying.
fucks. And it's the most tense thing in the movie, you know, and it's like, so here's the thing that bothered me, and then I'll let you go, Rachel. But when we talk about the fourth act and we're losing track of people and characters, you know, they have him at the very, very end. This is spoilers, so just like move on if you don't want to hear it. He backtracks so that he can have this romantic moment with his lady robot in the new body, except he had no idea she was there, because when the kid dragged her out in that field, he was in a complete opposite side of the station. Like, he had no part in her body being dragged to that field, so he would have had no idea she was there, but he like very purposefully runs to that field to see her. So there's like something kind of missing there. Like, he's half breathing in the shuttle, almost dead, when she gets her from another part of the facility and drags her across the facility into that field. Like, he has no way there was no way he knew she was there.
I just assumed he went there to die. Like, if you're
Same.
gonna die,
Yeah.
you
He
might as
looks
well
like
go-
very, but I don't think he ever even saw that place.
Oh,
I think
that,
she
yeah,
did.
yeah, that's fair.
I could be wrong. Anyway, Rachel, I apologize. Please go.
No, no, it's
I
fine.
really enjoyed it, but it is admittedly like pop Hollywoody in a lot of ways. Like, they really
Yeah.
go for the heartstrings instead of the hard science fiction. But that said, like, the flavor of that world is wonderful. I enjoyed being in it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in line with you guys where I feel kind of conflicted and mixed about it. Like the things I like about this, I like very, very much, and the things that I don't are hard to kind of hand wave away. I think you guys have talked about how beautiful this movie is. I think it's the prettiest movie of the year, period. I love the aesthetics, the cyberpunk, sort of cyberpunk light aesthetics, and it's such an ambitious film, you know, like this is the high budget cyberpunk Akira film that I've been wanting to see forever. And so,
actually fairly like low budget in comparison to like other action movies.
but it looks like
it looks amazing.
has
Yeah.
the budget. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like all of the settings, like the bunker that they go into, the design of the actual the AI, I don't know, what do they call them? Sims. The Sims look incredible.
The
Like
simulants, which I love.
the simulants, yes, they look really amazing. I mean, so all of that stuff works for me, and I am an absolute sucker for a lone wolf and cub story. Like they get me every time. Last of Us, Logan, all of those movies, I always cry. I cried in this movie like a little wuss. Like it always
I was
gets
choked
me.
up at a few moments. Like it, yeah.
That
it
bridge
got me.
scene. I mean, first
Yeah.
of all, the robots on the bridge are the most terrifying because they are the most like real world. They look like those dog
The
robots.
suicide bombers. Yeah, they look like those
Yes.
Boston Dynamics dog robots, and they
Like-
run
Yeah.
like them too.
Everything else is far flung enough that I had like emotional disconnect from. But when those things came running out, it looked just way too much like that footage, and I was like, oh no, this is terrifying. We are in a
But yeah,
dystopian
that
future, we're
scene
all
where
gonna
the
die.
one stops and then like bows to her was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that got me.
Yeah. So all of that really worked for me. I think for me, like the negative stuff, you've touched on a lot of it, but also, you know, as it is wildly creative in some areas.
It is. Yeah, that's
And
a good
then
way to put it.
also wildly derivative in others.
Yeah.
Like it leans really heavily on a lot of sci-fi movies that I love. At one point we have an Aliens movie. At one point we have Blade Runner. We have, like I said, Akira. Like when we get to the vault, I was like, oh, this is just Akira. And then at the end we kind of
see, I've
get
never
Rogue
seen that.
One. Oh, okay. Well, you kind of have.
Yeah, definite Rogue One vibes for sure. Yeah.
But in totality, my experience was I enjoyed the spectacle of this
And like
movie.
it's a new, you know, it's worth praising that it's new IP, even if it is derivative. Like
Yeah.
it's just so goddamn nice to see a new spin on something, you know?
And you know what? I was worried when I saw that runtime. I'm not going to lie because I have raging ADHD. But the pace of this movie, for its issues, the pace of this thing, it never lets up. I never felt that runtime.
And this is the kind of movie too where I'm fine. Like it doesn't like 2-hour slashers, I go in angry. I'm like, what are you doing? But like Gareth Edwards, it's an action sci-fi epic. I'm like, cool. I could have watched another half an hour to let him flesh out that last act more.
Oh, yeah.
Agree.
I mean, that's the thing for me, and part of why I enjoyed this so much. Because, I mean, we go into these, obviously, for the show to look for stuff and kind of overanalyze it and stuff. But I think this movie, if you take that step back and you're not trying to overanalyze it, it's a really good ride.
I
and
think
it's-
this goes in the bucket of good sit. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like I
exactly.
did have a good time while I was in that theater. I absolutely did.
See, this is above a good sit to me. Maybe this is just where I flush that. To me, a good sit is like, I mean, I could have been sitting anywhere, but I guess I was sitting here. This is better than that, I think. Good sit for me is like, it didn't bother me to sit here, so that was cool.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I got to sit in a different place for a couple hours. Sweet. So I would put that a little above this, but you know, everyone has a different definition of good sit. But.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a good sit is a little more complimentary.
Oh, you know who we didn't mention is crazy beard guy that was
Mark
in
Menchaca?
Ozark.
I-
Is that his name?
I was literally, that was my next note. He's Allison Janney
he's
playing
so
against
scary.
type. He is like playing his
So
type
scary.
perfectly.
Yeah.
And
Have
so
you guys been talking
I
about the
never.
Heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was he's like the partner in crime there with Allison Janney.
Yeah.
I
He was, like sick.
is that the name of that slasher? Sick. Where he's like stalking or he like
Yeah.
in the woods or whatever.
Well, there's
when we
he was
reviewed
also
that
in
movie-
Alone, where that's another movie where he's stalking a woman in the woods. So I'm not sure which
When we
one you're
reviewed that
talking
movie, I like tweeted something about how amazing his beard is, and he personally responded to it.
Nice.
Yeah, like he must have alerts because he was all over it.
Well, speaking of guest stars, real quick, I wish Schnars was here because he'd be excited for this too. But I didn't realize until we started and I was looking at IMDb that the Drew is Sturgill Simpson, country singer. I was like, I didn't realize that at first. Now I'm looking back and I'm thinking back. And I'm like, well, obviously,
Which one's Drew?
he's the one that got injured
Yeah, that's like
when
in the
they
back of the
first
truck.
landed. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that he saved.
Is he acting now? Is that like a thing?
Yeah, he's been acting. He's been in a couple things we've seen.
How about the lead character? What's the main character's name?
Joshua.
Joshua. Okay, how about Joshua's like ex-army best friend who's
Yeah.
chilling in the city with like the hottest girlfriend ever, just making robots, living his life, having a great time. This fucking dude shows up and his whole life and himself is destroyed in an hour. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I
true.
could think was like, boy, that was
Yeah.
the most depressing part of this movie. Like, are you gonna give him a sorry at least? Like he didn't say anything.
Let's make
Yep.
a pact that if any of us get a hot AI girlfriend, that we
Oh my
don't go
God.
blow each
Don't-
other's lives up.
Don't find me. Sorry, don't find me. I'm good.
I can't promise anything.
I just kept thinking about it. Like, I was so happy. And this old dude and this girl show up and he's fucking dead in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, on a beach somewhere killed by fucking android. Like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
His
the
life
flying
it's just
space
fucking-
uterus,
I can't stop
yes.
laughing about it. His life was just so thoroughly destroyed in like half an evening by this guy, and he doesn't even say I'm sorry when he's dying. Oh
So
God.
do you think that fate would have met at least his girlfriend had they actually had ice cream? And is one of the biggest takeaways always keep ice cream in the freezer?
Mm-mm. I mean, they would have busted it either way, but that was slick.
But they would have
that
got
little,
ice cream
like,
first, and that makes it.
It
less
is. There's
bad.
something funny too about the fact that the humans wear fake robot helmets that don't look convincing.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Because that's a human, right, at the door, or was it a robot?
No, it was a robot.
No,
it
that's-
was one
it's
of
a
the
robot.
That's a robot
Yeah.
police. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robot police.
Because you see him first where he ends up getting taken out, and then you see essentially another
Right.
one. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, would you guys donate your image to AI for, that whole like PR campaign you see throughout the movie, or it's like donate your image for AI, and that's why. he
No,
keeps
but I
his
bet hot
eyes.
people would. Like really hot people would be all over that, dude. It's just
Yeah.
like
Do you
it's
think they take anyone? Because all of the AI people were actually pretty hot.
we're crazy hot, yeah.
Right?
like-
Yeah.
Do you think that they're just like no uggos, please?
Maybe there's just like an island of just ugly AI robots.
Like, why
and
would you
like,
make ugly robots though, Rachel? Like that.
I mean, like beggars can't be choosers, right? I mean, I guess they only need like 5 people to donate, right? Like they get 5
Yeah.
hot
Yeah.
people, and they can
Well,
just keep printing them.
You know what they
At
don't
the same
ever.
time, at the same time, when he walked in that after he got at that one point in the movie, and he started seeing Gemma Chan, who's the actress that played I can't think of the character's name, the mother. When he walked into that city and started seeing her face everywhere, my first thought was, "Yeah, that will happen."
You know,
That's
there's
gonna happen whenever this comes true. It's gonna happen.
I would love just to know. I would have loved a movie that gave me a little more about the robots, because like some of the stuff with the little girl doesn't super track that well. Like everyone's immediately amazed by her, and it's just because she's a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, like no one's ever made a little kid robot before. Nobody even knows she has powers. They're just like, well, oh, a kid robot. But then it begs the question, though, like there's like robots with like the robot head, and then there's like these hybrids, I guess, that are fully robots. Like she's fully a robot. The like general dude is fully a robot. But he's old. So did they just make an old ass robot, or
Yeah, or did
I
it?
mean,
Has
I
it been
think
around
the
for a
thing
while?
Is
What?
she ages, like she grows and she ages. I think that
okay?
they're
So
just
but
sort
that
of-
old dude that we Scorpion, right? Isn't he Scorpion?
Mhm.
No, that's not Scorpion. Who's that guy? What do I know that guy?
I mean,
Ken
he was in-
Watanabe?
Yeah, he was in like
Yes, he-
Godzilla.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
So like he's old. So you're telling me that he didn't age. They just made an old ass person for no reason.
So
Why wouldn't you make
old and
everyone
hot.
30?
I
But I'm not saying that it's like a I'm just saying I want to know more. Like
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
help me
Well,
understand a little better.
to that exact point, when he goes to find his buddy whose life he ruined in an hour, and he was checking over the kid, and he's looking at her, and he like sticks a tool near where her ear should be, and he's like, "Oh, dude, she's grown." It's like, how do you know? Show us.
Like that scene made me chortle because it's a
Yeah.
little silly and it's super Hollywood. Like these robots they look the same, right? They've got the hole in their head where their ears should be, and they're just spinning shit inside, right? And
Yeah.
like he literally all he does is look at it in dim light, and he goes, "Oh," and he immediately knows everything that sets her apart from the other robots. He doesn't like jack her in. He doesn't like
Right,
read her
exactly.
with Bluetooth. Like he just looks at the spinny things and goes,
I think he's
"Oh, blah blah
poking
blah
at it
blah
with
blah blah
something.
blah. Here's all your important plot info." Like those are the moments where I feel like a more finer honed sci-fi movie would do that a little more gracefully. Whereas that's what when I say this is super Hollywood, like that's where you feel it. I feel like the most.
Well, at the same time, though, with that stuff you're talking about, I could see this movie being super Hollywood in that they're trying to launch a franchise, and so you start seeing
But
another movie, and then you'll start seeing spin-off TV shows where
just
they
simple
explore
shit.
the robot crap.
But it's just little shit that's like kind of lazy in a moment like that. Like
Yeah.
you can't have him plug her into something. We've seen these robots plugged into shit a bunch of times. Like whatever, it's stupid.
And we know they all have jacks in the back of their head that they didn't really do anything except for the memory cards, which maybe that's all that's for, but it'd be...
It's not super useful unless you need to talk to someone's consciousness that's dead for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I did kind of think that was cool, though.
It was. It's just funny. It's just funny. Like,
Well, they did
allude.
allude to, though, it's because it had been a while since he died. That's why they only got 30 seconds. So it makes... But what's
okay,
the
but
point
that
of
guy
getting
was-
a guy back for a couple hours?
That guy was a human, right? At some point in the movie, we learned that you can transfer robot consciousnesses. Can you do that? But if you catch a human right after they die, can you transfer their consciousness into a robot? That's what that scene suggests, except for that they just got to him too late.
I mean, that's what the marketing, like in film marketing, suggests as well. Like, there's all that, like, grandpa holding up the grandchild that is like that's a motif that's repeated in the background and in the advertising, like the propaganda around it.
Mitchell.
I guess so. I do think that that's sort of one of the things that they're doing is that they're
Yeah.
like moving loved ones into these bodies.
And it feels really only written for that final scene in order to explain why she's standing there and she immediately recognizes him.
Yeah.
Maya.
Wait, what? Say that. Explain what you just said. Like I'm 5.
So when you first see Allison Janney's character show that tech off where they're able to take the consciousness out of their lost soldier and essentially get like an intel report of what just happened,
Yeah.
that lays brickwork down for when you eventually find out what happened to Maya and then her final state of being in that other robot and it actually
Right.
being
We see a mini version of it earlier in the movie, so that then we understand it's possible later on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying that that technical, like, yes, essentially.
Yeah.
The tech seems to be written only to link in the romantic
right. It's
the
not
romantic link between
It's not really germane to the larger movie or wrapped in thematically. That's kind of what you're saying. It's just
correct.
yeah, it's touched on once and then it comes back at the end. I loved, man, just visually the temples were so cool. I loved how the temples had robot statues. That was so fucking cool.
Yep.
Like, man, just so well thought out. That's part of what I dig about this movie. It's like, I'm going to draw a parallel here that isn't fair because this movie's better. But I love Prometheus and the sequel, partly because it's just playing with ideas that I really like in a sort of pop culture-y kind of way. Like, I love the idea of like the subversion of the creator myth and that kind of thing, right? And this movie is playing with another sort of like pop science fiction idea that I really like, that AI and robotic sentience is just the natural path of human evolution. And that like where you find life forms in other parts of the universe, perhaps that's what always happens. They replace themselves with replicating machines. So I love how this is sort of it's like the Planet of the Apes remakes version of that idea, where we're seeing it as it's germinating. Like we're seeing the early stages of what could eventually turn into like just robots fully replacing humans.
Right.
So it's partly why I like the movie, because it's just, even if it's not going that deep, it's playing with ideas that I like.
Right. And that's kind of laid out by Allison Janney's character when she's talking about the Neanderthals and how we like.
Somebody says, right, it's kind of explicitly said in the movie that like maybe that's what's going on here if we don't.
Oh, it's very explicit. She says
Yeah.
we raped and murdered our way past them.
I love that little speech. That's such a good
Yep.
speech.
Yeah.
Go Team Hominoid.
Yeah.
We did it. Guys, we did it. Yeah. Nobody has, like, I brought it up a couple times kind of jokingly, but like nobody has really bit on the whole like flying uterus. But I do feel like that is a very intentionally, it looks like a uterus
It
or an
does
IUD.
look like a uterus, or or an IUD. That's right.
Right, as it's like flying across the sky, just like killing and burninating everything. And I was kind of like, as I was watching it, I was trying to, he's so metaphorical in like what he's doing with his film. I was trying to kind of like trace this idea, like why would he make this sort of destructive force? She's almost like this, like a god creature, like flying above them, destroying it. And it's sort of this strange balance of like the creator and the destructor. And I don't know if you guys are picking up on those themes at all. I haven't fully unpacked them.
I just kept thinking back to Neon Genesis Evangelion with the design of what's the name of Eden? Or
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a very long
I think
time.
so.
Yeah.
It has been a long time.
I really loved the like civil servant workers at their computers. Just the most like milquetoast looking 54-year-old dude behind his computer being like, boom, sending laser missiles.
Yeah.
are you talking about the guys running Eden?
Yeah, like just the tech nerds and like the bureaucracy.
Mission control.
It was also very like when you think of military dudes in like labs controlling drones, it was like this weirdly removed, like sanitized version of what was happening.
I
felt like
always,
an Office, some of those scenes, like
this being near future and sci-fi and stuff, I totally expected that General's giant ass glasses to become, like some kind of device that he's using to get readings off of robots or something. But they never did pull off of it. They were distracting.
I'm torn on that guy because he's not Allison Janney. And you get the sort of like, I like the scene where she dies. It's shocking and fun, but then that makes that last section a little, there's a piece, you feel her missing. You feel her presence not there.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that actor. It's Ralph Ineson, who I'm a little sad Schnars isn't here because he was in his favorite movie this year, The Pope's Exorcist. He's the voice of Satan in that.
Oh yeah. Bro.
But he's an actor I've like loved ever since The Witch. And I thought, it was interesting piece of casting, but I think he would have stood out more if it weren't for the contrast of Allison Janney, who is just like chewing up.
And he doesn't really get a ton of screen time. He gets some,
also on the
but not
floor.
but not a ton until she dies, and then suddenly it's like, nope, this is the bad guy now. Movies try to do that sometimes, and that's a tough one to pull off, I feel
But
like.
I want to know if his glasses were too big or if his hat was too big, because there was something wrong in that whole costume right there.
All right, somebody at Gareth Edwards, we have questions.
It's interesting to me where the humans draw the line in the robotics, that like, the robotic limbs are okay, or they use, they have these suicide robots, but one of them talks to Allison Janney and is like, "It's been a pleasure to serve you," and then just like runs. So like there's some, I mean, again, there's nuance there that they're just not explaining, but it's interesting. Like, what is it about? It must be, have some kind of judge on it in a way that stops it from being like sentient or something. But it's definitely a freaking robot. Like,
yeah, I mean, those little hypocrisies definitely exist in fascistic cultures. So that's not,
right. Well, it's an interesting thing that they are willing to engage with the technology when it benefits them.
And it reinforces the propaganda that you hear not only Joshua but his fellow army comrades repeat, which is, it's just programming. It's just programming as not only a way for them to remove themselves from what they're doing to everything around them, but also gives you an insight as to how they like literally view it. That
Yeah.
it is literally just programming to them.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Right, but also
dehumanization.
saying
Chatbot
it-
explodes.
Some characters are saying it in a way where it's like partially trying to convince themselves. It's like a mantra they're repeating, to make themselves feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that must be, it's the same sort of like, if you want to draw the parallel to the kinds of propaganda that we use in wartime all the time, right? Like
Right,
like one of the
dehumanizing.
most important steps is to dehumanize the enemy. And in
Yeah.
this case, the rallying cry is it's just programming.
Yeah. I like the way they
There's
played
some
with
smart stuff in
politics there too, especially at the very beginning when we saw when they declared war on AI and that kind of flashback and that general talking about,
Oh.
now remember, we're attacking the AI. We're not
Yeah.
not at war with New Asia. That was pretty chilling.
Yeah. Actually,
For a
lot of
opening-
reasons.
those opening scenes were really well done, I thought.
They
I love
were
the
cool.
stylism.
Someone on that team that designed that sequence is 100% a fan of the Fallout games because
Yeah.
Big time.
it literally is like the scene when you put a Fallout game in. Like there, I mean, it's full. Only in that part. That's the part that sort of threw me. The opening is full retro futuristic, like
Yeah.
Fallout looking cars.
Mhm.
It is a world where this stuff looks like it was starting to be around in the 50s because it's like black and white, real, whatever. And like that was cool. But then the movie aesthetic is something completely different and like is more of in the future. It's like 2066 or something. I'm not complaining. It's just funny.
I
Like,
really wish
watching
Ron
it-
Perlman would come in and
I
say,
was waiting
war
for
never
Ron to
changes.
be like, "War never changes." But there's straight up like a Fallout model in that opening. I swear to God. Like,
No, you're right. You're right. I want a Pit Boy. Can we get a Pit Boy? That'd be
They
cool.
make them. They made a pit when Fallout 4 came out. They made a Pip-Boy that you could put your phone into, and then you could pair your phone to your PC and use it in the game,
I feel like I might actually have
Which
that
is-
tchotchke somewhere.
which makes you realize how stupid and cumbersome a Pip-Boy would actually be in real life when you start thinking about like, doing this on your arm.
We're not that far off.
I mean, yeah, but I don't need to do that to switch weapons or change my clothes. I can still just use my hands for that.
That's true. Maybe
Any
next
other-
year.
True.
Anything else from this movie? Covered a lot of it.
I got into the heartstring part of it. I
Yeah,
don't
I agree.
have any problems with the mixing in some of the Hollywood fluff into the hard
I'm not-
sci-fi.
I'm
Like
not
I
above
said,
this.
I think it makes this kind of sci-fi more approachable for folks, and I really liked it. There were some really good moments for it. The talk of heaven and the kind of between Joshua and Alpha, when they first brought it up and talked about it, and then when it comes up again there at the end of the movie, I just thought it was a really nice bookend for their relationship that we watched grow throughout that movie. And then the fact that he says, you made it so I could go there, it was just like, oh.
Yeah, it got me. I
Yep.
mean, I want to act like I'm intellectualizing this film, but I was,
It's like, oh God.
yeah, there was some boo-hooetry in the theater.
Glad to see you're feeling human emotions, Rachel.
Yeah, see, they bubble up. I try so hard to push them down. Not enough popcorn in the world.
Been
So,
there, friend.
Eric, you didn't tell us your theater experience.
Oh, okay. So I went last night. So we record Wednesday nights. I went Tuesday night. The ticket was $5, which is amazing. I guess they just because who's going to the movies at the Haunted Mall on Thursday night? So I went to the Haunted Mall because it's like 10 minutes away. I could leave here 10 minutes before showtime and get there in the middle of the trailers, which is perfect. It was me in the theater and two like older gentlemen who were either like a couple or like the cutest set of old dude friends you've ever seen. Like I couldn't tell.
Adorable.
8 to 10 times during this film, one of them took photos of the screen with the flash on in their phone.
Less cute. Less
And
adorable.
it legitimately didn't make me angry. I just had so many questions. Like, are you guys taking pictures of each other? It looked like they were taking pictures of the screen. If you're going to do that, like it's better without the flash, right? But also why? Like, why?
Maybe
Why are
they
you
knew
doing
someone in the movie and they were like, let's get a picture of Jim.
It
Look
was
at
the shit. And the one dude, so they were kind of like in my line of view. This is karma because I've been talking about how like a lot of movies this year I've been on my phone some, but I will at least turn I won't do it in like if there's a lot of people around me. It's mostly like I see movies mostly in mostly empty theaters, but I also turn the brightness all the way down. This guy had his brightness at like half and was just checking his notifications every 15 minutes, and like that's crazy. Like turn the brightness down. They were just, I'm almost jealous of the utter lack of consideration. Like to be able to move through the world in that way without
Just
thinking of
unyoked.
anyone else around you, unencumbered by social mores. I am so jealous. Like they must be so fucking happy, and I don't know what that is like. I've never experienced that, so.
I don't know, man. I don't know that happiness would be worth it. I do not want to be that person. Although that's not true. Sometimes I'll see like
Ignorance truly is bliss.
grumpy as hell old ladies who give zero fucks, and I'm kind of like hero, goddess.
Anyway,
yeah. Ghost of Christmas Future.
I'll be pondering those two gentlemen for the rest of my existence. So
if you see them again, will you ask, please?
Oh hell yeah! I mean,
Okay.
I mean, they probably live around here. You know, like it's
Right?
possible. I'm not in a city. Like there's not that many people going to movies on Tuesday nights. So
I wonder if you get on Nextdoor and you'll start see a post. I saw a cool movie and it has all the pictures in it.
Does Craigslist still have missed connections? Maybe.
Oh, because that's the only people on Craigslist are old people. So like
Right?
that's beautiful. I want to do that. Like I want to write a poem about them and post it.
Just a tone poem about your experience in the theater.
Me trying to enjoy a movie. You taking pictures with your flash. Were you a couple? I couldn't tell. All right. That's going to do it for the creator. Let's do some fan mail here. But first, we're going to do recommendations. Casey,
Yes.
Rachel,
Oh, yeah, definitely recommend.
Joseph.
I would recommend.
I would. And it's like really a visual spectacle. So like if you're a theater person, I know it's Halloween and there's other stuff going on right now, but like I would say if you're interested, it's worth seeing in the theater. It's a very pretty movie.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
It's not one you want to watch over like streaming compression, I would say. All right,
Definitely.
let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
I love it. Rachel is now flexing on us by showing us that she actually owns the Pip-Boy.
And then did you watch me go through the entire journey that you described where I like was like very excited to put it on and immediately was like, this thing's a pain in the ass. Like, on
Yeah.
the floor.
It's stupid. That's not, everything you fall
There
out is
was
stupid,
30
but it's great.
glorious seconds. It was just all
Did you
downhill.
play Fallout 4, Rachel?
It did.
Yeah.
I
what'd
played,
you think?
yeah. I love
How-
those games.
Did you get into the house of the like whatever, you know what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
Yes, I picked Mr.
The-
House. Yes.
The
Chaos.
no, what am I? No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Fallout 4 with the settlement building. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Where you would like build stuff and have people come and like.
Yeah, I did a little like Fallout 76 for a while, but I don't know. Like, I have so many chores that I have to do on a daily basis. I don't have a ton of
It's
patience
so
for
stupid.
like.
I don't know why I love digital chores, but I truly, truly do. Joe, you look pregnant in thought.
Oh no, I'm just shocked. Like I again very much like Rachel that I don't have the time for the digital chores. But I love the weird RPG stuff that you'll end up like, oh,
Yeah.
get this from the store.
I spent like 100 hours mostly just building in Fallout 4, like building a settlement and inviting people there or whatever. But like one thing broke it for me because I built these like incredible walls around Sanctuary, the town, and like had defenses and guards and all this shit. And shit still kept getting in my base, but it didn't make sense because I had walls. So I started Googling it and discovered that if you fully enclose your base with walls, the game will just start spawning the enemies inside of your walls. And I got so fucking mad. So there's like, I mean, if you go on, there's tons of mods that fix all this stuff. That's the cool thing about the Bethesda games. But yeah, it just broke it for me. I was like, you motherfucker, you know how long I spent making those goddamn walls and you're just spawning death claws inside of it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not fair. The one thing, one game I played a lot of, like, that I did do some building with, did you ever play The Forest? I got pretty sucked into the building elements of The Forest. That's a great game.
So the other building ones, I really loved Starbound, which is like Terraria, but it's with lots of planets, like endless planets. That was really cool. There's building, you know, there's collecting and building and chores. You plant food, whatever. And I'm a big Stardew Valley fan. Kind of obsessed with that game.
Okay.
And I dig Animal Crossing. That's my vibe, like cozy.
Okay, well, The Forest is definitely not cozy.
Yeah, I don't like shit where shit attacks. Like I don't like.
Lots of like Cronenbergian armsy monsters coming in.
No, because like there'll be
up.
games that are like build a
sequel, you get a
castle,
weird
and I'm like, ooh, I want to build a castle and build a little town, and then it's like, and then barbarians invade. I'm like, no, I don't. Can I just turn that off? I just want to build a town where nothing bad ever happens. Could I do that, please? And then now there are games like that because that's the beauty of
Yeah, there's like a setting that's like that in that game, but it's kind of, I don't know, if it's too peaceful, then like what are we even doing here, you know?
You fascinate me, Rachel.
Right back at you.
You got to check out Graveyard Keeper.
Graveyard Keeper looked cool.
It's
you're literally
Stardew
just managing,
Valley, except you manage a graveyard, have to do
bodies.
autopsies, take parts of the body. It's Stardew Valley for goth people.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna slam on some Bauhaus and want to play that. That sounds great. I also I never played that Cult of the Lamb, but I've heard good things about that one too.
That was good stuff.
That game's great.
Love it. I'll state for the record that if this the creator would definitely be in my top 10. I probably won't troll everyone by putting a science fiction movie on my top 10. Like it would probably be my number 2 after Beau is Afraid.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, I think it's your top 10. You do what you want. It's punk. Exactly.
That is true. I do what generally that's my brand, doing what I want.
Yeah.
So I guess I get that.
Schnars has rules.
And I feel like your love language with Schnars is a little bit of a, you know what I mean? So I think for him to return to a sci-fi in the top 2
it's mostly I'm too exhausted of hearing other people complain. Schnars wouldn't care. Schnars wants.
I'm yes-anding your choice.
Thank you. Schnars plays, but he wants me to be happy. He would let me have that if I wanted it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But, you know. All right. Let's see.
Plus, it might bump Sick off the list. So
Did I already? But it might have happened already. Actually.
Oh, God.
I think it did. I think it happened last week.
Okay. I know. I'm so relieved you guys liked Birth Rebirth because I love that movie, but I also know it is not for everyone. It is an ask.
Oh, I did like it. Yeah, Ariel was surprised.
Yep.
I liked it.
I was nervously watching the feed. I was like,
oh, it was a unanimous one. That was
that was surprising.
Let me,
awesome.
Casey, just check X quick.
all right.
This thing's noisy. I'm gonna
Twitter.
turn it off.
Twitter.
I literally pulled down the like search bar of my iPhone the other day and started typing in Twitter and was so confused why I couldn't find the app. And then I went, X, whatever.
When are you gonna be? What do you think it's gonna take for you to be done? Today, Elon's latest thing is he took all the headlines.
I'm barely using it. Posts. I mean, I'm barely using it. I will say, like, I just I don't use it that much. What's the worst movie you've ever watched on a piano? That's from Pigeon Callie. A
Wait.
piano, Jesus Christ, on a plane.
Oh,
What's the
that's-
worst movie you've ever watched? on a
That's
plane?
Matilda.
Sorry.
Callie Pigeon is Matilda.
Oh, love it. What's the worst movie you ever watched on a plane?
I remember one time I was on a plane and they showed that movie Fearless. Do you remember what that movie is about?
Fearless. No.
It's about a plane crash.
Oh,
I was like a kid going, "Why?" And it was back when it was like the screen. Everybody watched the same movie. You didn't have this wild selection of 17-year-old, Harry Potter movies that you could watch, right? Like it was everybody watched the movie. I got stuck watching Bulletproof Monk that way on an international flight. But Fearless is one where, like, because the screen is in front of your face, you can opt out of the sound, but you can't opt out of the screen. I had to like fly like this. I'm a fearful flyer.
Death on the Nile.
Oh, just watched that one the other week.
It's not very good.
It's not great.
Well, we just reviewed that new one though, and it's a delight.
I hear great things about it, and
It's a
it
delight.
looks, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's it for Twitter. Mr.
I was going to
Casey.
say it's funny because I've never actually watched an in-flight movie like that the plane provides. I always have my iPad, so
Yeah, we had
good
this whole
taste.
discussion last week too. If I'm messing with that screen, I'm probably just gonna watch a couple episodes of something, a show or something, and zone out.
Yeah.
I remember you were saying you're just a weirdo who just stares straight forward.
I have
Yeah.
stared for like 2-hour flights.
Do you
before,
like
yeah.
make meaningful eye contact with the flight attendants while you're staring?
No, I stare at the back of the seat.
I
like a
just
psycho.
I stare at the flight attendants because I'm watching for like any sort of micro expression that means that the plane is going down.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm a guy. Rachel. I need to be careful who I intensely stare at. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That's probably true. No fly, Eric. That's what we call you.
I have to be mindful of my gaze in a way that maybe you don't.
That's fair. Man, it's a survival.
Don't blame the
technique
gaze.
At this point. Don't blame the gaze. Leave the gaze out of this.
Yeah, it's a
No,
different
my gaze.
it's a different vibe if the flight attendant's walking down the aisle and see me going,
I don't know, man. I'm burning holes into some poor flight attendants' faces.
Flying doesn't scare me though, so that's part of it. Like
Yeah,
I,
Good.
I love
the
flying.
only part of it, I get anxiety in that last 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds before you land. And I never used to, but like one time, like 15 years ago, I was in a real hard landing where we like bounced and I'm like, oh, that can go bad. And now my brain, every time I just feel it in that moment right before we hit the ground, I hold my breath. But
Yeah.
like when we're in the air, who gives a shit? I don't know.
I never used to be, but I, like you, had a bad experience. When I was a kid, my dad raced sailplanes. So I used to go up in a plane without an engine. You know what I mean? I was not a fearful flyer. And then I took like a little puddle hopper from Denver to frickin' Nebraska.
It was a little
And-
puddle hopper I was in too.
And
when
it
that
was
happened,
like
yeah.
this, up and down, pouring rain. And it's when I learned that the body is capable of projectile crying. I didn't know that you could actually cry for distance. Like,
Oh
you
my
know that,
God.
like the cartoon, but I wear glasses and I saw two tears go plink plink.
That's crazy. I'll be honest. What freaks me out more is just being packed in with that many people so closely. I'm much more aware of just people around me than I am anything happening with the plane.
That's fair. That's
Like
I had a great
breathing
flight the other
with
day where I was
hu-
between two dogs. It was
Like,
amazing.
Breathing with that many humans close to me, I'm just like, I'm gonna get Ebola. I'm gonna die when I get off because I always get sick when I fly. So I'm just waiting for it. Like I'm waiting for the asshole to start like harsh coughing, and I'm like, why are you on this fucking plane? Right? Like I get so angry.
True. Oh my God. I have to get on a plane at like 6 a.m. This is not helping my anxiety.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sick. Where are you flying? That's like a
Just to Las Vegas. Just like a little
Oh.
quick one. Yeah.
Sounds nice. Casey, what's on Threads?
all right, we've got 3 questions out there on Threads.
This is already one of our longest episodes in recent memory, and you know why? It's because Rachel plays yes and.
I will always encourage bad behavior.
First up, we have Ryan Tehan, and I just want to state beforehand that I'm so happy this is addressed to Eric. Eric, as a fellow old, what is your stance on Werther's Originals?
Man, I have a lame take on this, which is that I don't eat processed sugar. So, but if I'm to channel a younger version of myself, love a Werther's Original. My grandmother used to have them in her house. My grandmother always had 3 things in her house. Werther's Original, 4 things. Okay. She liked candy. Werther's Original, Hershey's Kisses that were so old they had turned white, because you know how like shitty chocolate turns like white after a long time. Those strawberry hard candies with like the filling inside that had the strawberry wrapper, and wintergreen mints, those like pink Pepto-Bismol looking like chewy candies.
With the green, like kind of swirl.
Delicious. No, it's like a chalky, like cylinder.
Are they kind of
slice.
melty when you eat them?
No, it's like chalk.
Necco
But they're-
wafers?
Like a yeah,
It's
so
like
Necco wafer?
it's like if you melted a stack of 10 Necco wafers together, that's the thickness of it. But same kind of consistency. It's like sugar dust. I'd have to look it up, but they're wintergreen and they look like Pepto-Bismol and they're delicious. Anyway, yeah, Werther's Original. Thumbs up.
Who doesn't like a Werther's? Like, I know it's like a joke that they're in the bottom of a purse, but they're delightful.
They're very nostalgic for me.
Oh, yeah.
There are way worse things at the bottom of my purse.
My
Like,
grandmother loved that
that's a treat.
ribbon candy shit too that would like destroy your teeth.
Oh yeah,
Hard sugar
Peppermint.
ribbon candy. It's like
ones that
biting
were like kind
brittle
of
plastic.
waved too. So
Wait, the
as
wavy
the
ones.
front-
Yeah, you get them in the
Yeah,
waves. and they're
it turned into like
fancy
literally
colors.
a weapon.
Yeah,
that you
Yeah.
had
sharp
in
as
your
hell.
mouth.
Yeah.
I also love to like rip it right out of the fillings out of your teeth, like a saltwater taffy. That's a good old person.
I do too,
candy I
although
get
I'm
Yeah.
at the age where my fillings could actually come out at this point because they're old. So like that freaks me out.
I don't fuck with them at all. Too many
Like I've had
cats.
relatives like at Christmas bite into some shit and be like, "I just lost a filling," and I'll just be like, "That sounds like a bad time.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that."
All right. Next up, we have from the drummer from Foghat.
Love that. I live. That is my favorite social media name. I want that person to know that.
That's a good one.
Have any of you ever been scared or at least made uncomfortable by a band? For me, the band Mortician, a gore metal band from Yonkers, always makes me feel weird, and I will not allow it to be played in my car.
I always used to tell Joe C when he was on the show, anytime like I'd get exposed to his music, that it like actually hurt my feelings. Like it upset me. And I know that metalheads like that it relaxes them. So that's just it's a funny thing because I would listen to it and be like, I feel personally attacked by this music.
You know,
I'm gonna go Or and Dispatch. I'm going 2 bands because I saw them live one time and I was like, what? It felt like I walked into a different planet. Not my vibe. I'm probably more in the Joe C camp. Really, I mean, just give me some 9 Inch Nails and I'm happy, but that's big.
I don't have a particular band, but I know in like middle school ish era, there was a few years there that I believed that all those metal bands that said they were satanic were satanic
Yeah.
and evil. So I was pretty terrified of a lot of those. But then
I mean-
I finally realized it's mostly an act, and then I was okay.
That's where the magic was in that stuff, though, right?
Oh yeah, that's what they did it for.
I don't know that I have ever been scared of a band, but I was scared for someone else who was around someone in a band. Like, did you ever see that documentary where someone goes all the way to like Norway and hangs out with the black metal artist Gall?
Oh yeah,
Have you
I
seen
think I have
this?
seen that.
He's just like swirling his like wine glass, and he had just, I think, like held someone captive and like tortured them recently, and he
Ooh.
asks him about it, and the guy is very strange, and they are alone in a cabin, and gets very quiet, and I felt that man's mortality through.
That's
the
horrifying.
screen.
yeah.
We reviewed that movie. I don't remember the name of it years ago, but that was about that black metal band where one of the members killed the other one.
Lords of Chaos.
Lords of Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
That was a good
scene,
movie.
Different
Yeah.
band. And I'm sorry. I feel like I cut you off, Casey. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm good to go.
Yeah, that black metal scene was well. Actually, I think I have that book like back here somewhere. Lords of Chaos is back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, dug that. Is that it, Casey, or what do we got?
We got one more here from Metal Prof. What is the most supposedly juvenile thing you still enjoy watching. For example, me, a 56-year-old man, just sat here watching a few SpongeBob episodes. Band Geeks for the win.
Join the Patreon so you could have heard the whole conversation about
Yeah, we were chatting
pre-show.
about Clone Wars pre-show, the cartoon, and Rachel told me, because I watched a bunch of Clone Wars but never got too deep into it, and I was telling Rachel that my favorite character was General Grievous, and she gave me the whole origin story and blew my mind of where General Grievous came from.
Nerd. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we talked about that. We talked about Adventure Time, Infinity Train. I like all those cartoons. I'm about that life.
I guess I don't watch much that would be classified that way anymore.
I don't know. If you go for the kids show aspect of juvenile, then I don't know. There's not a lot that I still watch nowadays. Although, if there's good cartoons on, I turned Looney Tunes on for Delaney, or not for Delaney, for the dog Agatha, when Colleen leaves for lunch, and I that's a fun time. We both enjoy ourselves.
That's the cutest, like most pure thing I've ever heard.
But if you want like juvenile sense of humor and whatnot, I'm of the type that are like Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. It was a longtime favorite, and I still think that Dr. Steve Brule, check it out with Dr. Steve Brule, is like the pinnacle of comedy for me with
For
John
your
C.
health.
Reilly. Yeah. You dingus.
I'm just gonna say Space Ghost.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, Space Ghost Coast to Coast was another A+ Adult Swim show.
Yeah. So a lot of those shows, and like even like Johnny Quest, C Lab, anything that was like Toonami into Adult Swim, I probably still have a hankering for. I almost put on Yu Yu Hakusho like earlier today when I had like a half hour, but I don't know if that's juvenile or just me being an anime fan.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
with you
and
on
I
all of
thought
that.
I don't necessarily consider it juvenile because I think they're doing elevated stuff with it, but like the Venture Brothers is like one of my all-time favorites. But that's more because of the way that they satirize all that good old stuff.
Yeah.
All
Didn't
right,
they just have a new movie come out?
Yeah, the final one's supposedly, but we can keep our fingers crossed.
let us do some IG. We had a couple left over from last week because if you recall, I forgot to post until we were already doing the show. So they came in late. So if you could be reborn knowing one thing, what would it be? I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot of stuff I should know that I don't. So I don't know if that was going to help.
Yeah.
I mean, the secret of time travel? Is that in the
Could I be
book?
reborn knowing how to do math? Because I still can't do that. How about making a budget? Like I'm going to use this opportunity to learn something I still can't do.
I mean, like, how outlandish can this be? Can I know anything, or does it have to be something that I have learned through my life that I want to carry on to the next one?
You'd have to ask Paul. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if I'm back next week, hopefully I'll have a follow-up question for answer for.
If anything, I'd say I'd make different choices on college choices after coming out of high school.
Oh, I'd make extremely different choices, but I think he's saying more of like a piece of knowledge or a skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could go back and warn myself, yes, I'd make some different choices.
Well, there was a lot of skill involved in mine when I chose to go to music school because people had built it up, and then I got there and it wasn't what I had hoped it'd be. So,
All right. Any cool horror movie locations that you've been to IRL? This is a good question for you, Joe.
Yeah, I spent the anniversary of The Prowler at the inn where it was shot in Cape May, New Jersey. The
That
movie itself
sounds amazing.
is set in Avalon, California, but it's all shot in Cape May. And the inn is still in like perfect condition and did a screening of it for the anniversary.
nice.
That's so cool. I love when like random old places like that, just whoever's running them now, embrace that stuff. Like, I love to see what the like camp from Friday the 13th does and like all those kind of things. It's really neat.
Joe, tell listeners the phone booth that you found recently.
Oh, so I was just at a wedding out in Lancaster, and so I found the phone booth that Harrison Ford used in the movie Witness when he has to call back to his partner in Philadelphia.
Now, when you say
to, like,
you
kind of-
found it, like you knew it was in the area, so you looked it up so you could go see it?
Correct.
Gotcha. That's wild.
I know the
Pretty
movie
random.
well enough that I was like, and the towns well enough that I knew it was. I mean, it's shot in the Great Intercourse, PA. Who
Yeah.
doesn't want to stop in Intercourse? So that's a draw right there. But yeah, it's an old. Was it W.H. Zimmerman's? Is an old family there. They owned the general store that I knew was there, but they eventually had moved to a larger facility, literally right next door.
Amazing. I drove through Pennsylvania once on my way to North Carolina, and I drove through a town called Charlottesville, and I really enjoyed that.
That is pretty good.
I ate at an A&W there.
Nice.
That's awesome. It's good. It's good name.
Um,
So,
if you
I
were
live-
reincarnated,
Oh, I was
What?
gonna say I live right down the street from the. Well, not right down the street. I live very near the house from Phantasm.
Ooh.
Sick.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
and I stayed in Ferndale, which is this tiny little Victorian town where they shot The Love Witch and Salem's Lot.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
I live like 15 minutes from where they shot Place Beyond the Pines, but it's not a cool thing to brag about because the whole movie is about how this area is a fucking shithole. So
I remember
like
that
the
episode.
whole movie is just about how it's like a white trash shithole. So that's cool. With a corrupt police force led by Ray Liotta. It's a good movie though. And that's where they met, Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes, I believe.
Has Ray Liotta ever played like just like a good guy, like a good salt of the art, like a mensch?
Yes. In Blow, it's actually hilarious. He plays Johnny Depp's dad, but
Yeah.
they're like basically the
Yeah.
same age. So they,
Okay.
at various points, they put him in old guy makeup.
And he was like,
And
the
he's
one
just
good
like
person in it.
he's exactly what you're talking about. He's a blue collar,
yeah.
salt of the earth guy. So like when his son becomes a drug dealer, makes all this money, like he doesn't get it, but he's like, whatever. He's like downtrodden by his wife. It's like a whole thing.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go.
And
And
that
Field
maybe-
of Dreams.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did cheat, right?
I've never seen Field of
Isn't he
Dreams.
like Shoeless Joe Jackson, the baseball
Yeah.
cheat?
In reality, yes. Yes. The magic of Hollywood.
So I'm technically right, the best kind of right.
I would go one step further then. Wild Hogs.
Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're
Oh,
technically
Jesus.
right.
Here's a good one. If you were reincarnated as another member of the show, who would you choose and why? As if there's any other answer than Schnorrs. Like what?
Yeah.
No, I kind of want to be Casey.
Okay, go on.
Casey
hear the
feels
rationale.
like he has a wonderful life. He has a beautiful family, and he seems like he has a kind of happiness that I could only dream of, like an
That's
innate
fair.
happiness.
I just want the Manhattan penthouse.
Yeah.
I mean, Schnars, there are things about
want-
the hair alone is a perk.
The hair. I want the
But-
hair, and I want the rooftop pool.
Yeah.
He has a roof. Sorry, Casey, we're done.
No,
Answer changing.
I don't.
I don't know that he still does. That may
I
have
don't
been
I don't know if
pre-pandemic.
the place that he's in now does, but the place that we were last at, the last time we were all in NYC, there was a pool on the roof that
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm gonna go Eric just to make sure. Like then I know that he'll stay awake like past 10 o'clock.
Interesting. Interesting. I can't. It's actually 10 right now. I'm tired.
Something to your body.
This is Chris says the new VHS comes out on Friday. Do you all plan to review it? So I volunteered to basically screen it to
Yep.
see if it was as trash as last year's VHS, and if it is, we won't be reviewing it. Probably.
Come on, CC or Gigi Saul Guerrero does a segment in it. Fingers
If it's, I
crossed.
don't know who that is. I've heard that name, but I don't know who that is.
She's great.
If it's slightly better than
His
last
ex.
year's, if it's slightly better than last year's, I'll probably subject Snarts to it. But last year's was like, it made me angry, and not in a way that would have been fun to listen to. Let's put it that way.
Which is crazy that he's the one that stood up and said, "I'll screen it and tell us if we need to watch it."
Because
instead of one of us doing it.
Because I will always watch these movies. It's also set in the 80s, so you got my attention. And man, the first two VHS movies are like classics, classic found footage movies, and then it kind of just has gone off the rails since then.
Yeah, I mean, Safe Haven, that's the only segment I know the name of, but like it is like top tier segment, period.
Is that the Timo one?
Here's a good one. Tell me about a music genre you love that everyone loves to hate.
Oh. So I don't know if everybody loves to hate it. I mean, they're the sort of the person who's become emblematic of it is very controversial, but I am a huge Riot Girl fan. And I think a lot of people associate that with Courtney Love, who I will fight you because I love her and I know she's a mess. But
that's right. I'm remembering now. You're super juiced into the music scene there, Rachel. You're saying words that I'm trying to follow. I know who Courtney Love is. My answer is like, I like pop music, and I say that because like depending on the company you're in, it's like not cool to say that. But I don't just mean like pop music that I have nostalgia for because I was a kid. Like I will listen to modern pop music, and like I like a lot of indie pop, like alternative pop, because then it's even sadder, which is like my wheelhouse. Like really depressing alt pop. I'm like all in on it.
I'm just imagining now, like just spinning in that chair, listening to the latest from Olivia Rodrigo, just living your best life. You're like driver's license or whatever the song is.
Who are okay? So there's somebody I just discovered that I'm really into. That's kind of in this, this vein. Okay, fucking Spotify. Okay, recently played. Oh, I was listening to a bunch of Rilo Kiley today. Speaking.
That's good stuff.
Speaking of being
Kiley.
depressed.
I love me some Jenny Lewis.
Maya Folic. I just started listening to. She's really good.
Her.
And this
And
band
I mean that
named,
genuinely, not in a Mariah Carey way.
and
I
this
don't
guy
know her.
named Petey. I just
Petey.
started listening to, and he's really good. Anyway,
I like
PD,
folk
like
music.
E before the Y.
Petey.
Yeah.
Yep,
Petey.
don't- yep. Sorry,
I like
Casey.
folk. I like folk music, which I don't think is necessarily universally reviled, but a lot of people.
Now, are you talking
gonna go look
classic?
for-
Are you talking classic or
You're like
modern?
Bob Dylan.
Both.
Or,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
into
gonna-
modern folk.
I'm going this Sunday to see The Tallest Man on Earth, which is a folk musician out of Sweden. It sounds just like Dylan back in the day.
How tall is he? I'm
Interesting.
going to be very disappointed by this answer.
I think. Well, he actually looks a lot like Shinars, surprisingly enough.
I don't know how tall Shinars is. Shinars to me is about 2.5 inches tall.
He's a little taller than you. What do you think Shinars is, Casey? 5'8", 5'9"?
He's not too far off from me. I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, like you and Joe always were like tower. Like we would get together, and I'd be like, "Am I seriously the only fucking short person on the show?" Like they're so tall, the three of them together. It's offensive.
Sorry, I'll be short with you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
We can laugh at their knees together. It'll be great. Like, look at those jorts.
Okay. Favorite apocalyptic future movie? I haven't seen that many. I was realizing thinking about this question.
I hate the way that my brain works. I hate my brain because the minute you say it,
Blank.
I don't know. What are these words? But I know I have an answer to this because like I love sci-fi, and I love.
Oh, you know what my answer is? And it's not really apocalyptic. It's more like pre-apocalyptic, but Logan.
You know what that is? Lone Wolf and Cub.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It is. Interesting.
I mean, yeah. Can I go with like? Let's stay on that track. Can we go with like Last of Us? Because, and I'm talking
Yeah.
games because
I
those
haven't
are.
played
Yeah.
any of those, but yeah.
I mean, okay, you want to feel all the dark feelings? I have got a game series for you, my friend.
Oh, man.
I gotta
I
stick to my
weep
guns. Oh, I
through
didn't mean
those
to cut you
games.
off.
No.
Sorry. I'm gonna stick to my guns. What I always say: 6-string samurai.
Nice. It's a great movie.
Okay, 2 more questions. Did any of you watch Andor, and thoughts?
Yes. And I have many, many thoughts.
Yes.
I did not.
Oh, Rachel, would you give me your thoughts?
Oh yeah. I to me it is the pinnacle of Star Wars. It is the greatest Star Wars property that has ever come out. Literally
Wow.
perfect, zero notes. Because it takes place in that world and has all of that mythology, but it actually gets at sort of the everyday person and the heroics of everyday people that created the rebellion. And it also is the best unpacking of just the banal, mundane evil of the bureaucracy behind the empire. It's the best character building. It's the most, like, in terms of philosophy, it's the most thoughtful of all the films. It's spectacularly acted. To a person, they are incredible in this film. The detail and the costuming and the world building, and it's just a masterpiece. It is an absolute masterpiece. And if you have not watched it, Joe Ferry, get your ass in front of a screen tonight, because I don't even care if you like Star Wars. You are a person who appreciates art, and it is art.
Yeah.
Check it out.
It's a different, especially in the age where we have with Star Wars and Skywalker burnout is a thing. This is the perfect antidote to that.
See, I think I had that couples moment where, like, you always watch a TV show with, like, your significant other, and then one day Laura's like, "Oh, hey, I finished Andor. I think you'd realize." I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Nope, not even checking it out."
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you got mad because she finished it.
I didn't even start it. I had no idea any of this was going on.
Joe.
Wow.
It felt like walking into, like, it felt like finding out your significant other was cheating on you.
You know what? I actually get that feeling, and that can be that can be hurtful. Like, I get it.
Colleen and I have a standing rule, you know, if you think it's something the other has to ask, you got to ask first, hey, do you care if I watch this or you want me to save it? Saves a lot of fights.
Or be able to watch it twice. It's so good, I bet your wife would watch it again.
Oh, she cannot watch anything twice. She, like, loathes watching anything.
No, I'm a Joe.
more than
Hold
once.
that
We're,
grudge,
like,
Joe.
the opposite.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
don't,
Grudge,
Judge,
Joe.
don't, like, here's the thing is, like, you lie to your wife and tell her that you'll never watch it, but secretly watch it. It's the one lie I approve of, because I want you to watch it.
So no, she would be
Selfishly.
happy if I watched it. It's me. I'd have to lie to me. I'm the one that's.
We
holding
lie
it
to
in.
ourselves every day. How
Rachel,
the hell
Joe
do you
is-
get through life without lying to yourself?
Rachel, Joe is displaying a very specific kind of obstinance right now that I'm very familiar with. This is purely he's dug in,
Okay.
and it's on
no way
principle
out.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way out.
It's a shame. 'Cause
You
I
said
feel
it, my
like
friend.
I feel like you would really have an excellent experience with it. Like
I told her, I did say this. I was like, all right, you know what? I will finally watch this, and if you watch Sallow, and that will never happen.
Oh, Joe.
kind of worth it, to
You
be
scamp.
honest.
All right.
I think all she did was look up and saw, like, feces eating. I was like, nope, I'm out. Guess you're never watching Andor.
When is that movie from?
Like, when?
Yeah.
Ooh,
70?
yes.
Early
60s or
70s, I think.
Was that all?
Yep.
You ever heard of Joe August Underground?
No.
That was like a series in like the 90s, 00s of like they were just dudes making these like micro budget movies that were just horribly offensive and disgusting, right, Rachel? Like,
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
actually
it was
put
super
another
gory.
one out a few years ago.
did they? Yeah,
I
there
know
was a whole
someone who was
series.
in it. Yeah.
It was them and Toe Tag Films. They used to be at Horror Hound.
Yeah. I just always remember looking and being like, this doesn't feel okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
This makes me sad. All right. The last question. It's not a question. I think you should try and squeeze Slaughterhouse in before the end of the year. Thoughts? I mean, this year is so devoid of anything of interest. I would be surprised if we can't. We'll probably be able to fit it in.
Can we do it as a live group watch, please?
Let me say,
Character is named Alpha.
I watched it this weekend.
Oh, you've seen it?
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Okay. It's not like the good kind of bad.
I had fun with it. Eric and Schnars are not.
Okay, compare
wait,
it to
sorry,
Winnie the Pooh,
Slaughterhouse?
Blood and Honey. Like, where does it land?
Slaughterhouse. It's
Well, I think Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is a classic. So And,
Yeah, you might be okay with it. It's fun if you like bad movies. Schnars, we would break him for sure. So
Oh, yeah,
now
that's fine.
there's a chance. I was actually planning on Schnars is out in the woods somewhere, so I didn't end up texting Eric and Schnars after I watched it. But I was going to text them to say you'll be happy to know I watched it, so you guys don't have to.
all right. We decided next week it's time for Saw X. Or if you're from Boston, the Sox.
I was going to say after Alyssa on Slack this week, it's now socks to me all the time.
Somebody pointed out too, if you flip the poster upside down, it says Xmas,
Yes.
which I like. Yeah, so Exorcist comes out this week. I think we all know what that is, but we're gonna do it the week after because at this point it's Saw time. So there you go. I gotta do that Friday this week, I guess. I'm gonna have to go on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Woof. Anyway, yeah, Rachel, where can people find you?
Well, if you are interested in more of this awesome podcasting that I do, you can find me at zombiegirls.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at ZG Podcasts, plural. ZG
Mr. Joe.
Find me at filmsatfirstsight.com.
Great job.
FFS _podcast. Pretty much everywhere except for Blue Sky, which is just Films at First Sight because they don't allow underscores. Yeah, that's all I got.
I didn't know that about Blue Sky. I wonder if that would just destroy the whole system if somebody used an underscore. Like
I tried.
I wonder if that would
have
launch a nuclear
continuity.
bomb that hits Los Angeles. If
You'd
you
like
put an
hack into the
underscore in there.
mainframe lawnmower man style.
Love it. Oh, I should say next Friday, October 13th, new hi-fi dropping. I have a single coming out for spooky time. It's my first collab with like a guitar player. So a friend of mine from work who's like a just insane electric guitarist. We teamed up and we made some cool shit. So I'm on Apple Music. I'm at this point I'm kind of in everything. You just search for HY-FY and it'll show up. Check it out.
Good stuff.
And if you follow me, Eric BGH on Instagram, that's mostly where I'm at these days. And I'll give updates. Casey, might as well get everybody in here. What you got?
I'm on cinema.fromage on Instagram and Threads, so you can find me there. I post pictures.
Love it. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for the creator. And we'll see you next week for a little Saw X.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.